Hello there. This is an interesting video for me to make because it is after doing a bunch of work related to my big box PC games. So I really like collecting these to use with my original hardware, and I have a bunch of them behind me in the space where I normally film, and even a few more squirreled away over here where the shelf used to fit correctly before I got that desk. But this is not all of the PC games I have, and well, I haven't been able to put the other ones out yet because I didn't have the space for them. Until now. For the first time in over a year, I finally have the space to put up all of my PC games, even if it is just in a hallway. I am really excited about this, but while I was doing this, I did something else crazy. I took the opportunity to catalog all of them. So I know exactly which games I have and how many of them I have. And the number is quite staggering. It's more than the North American Super Nintendo library and more than the North American NES and international Nintendo 64 libraries combined. So today, I kind of want to just talk about some big box games and how I cataloged all of these over 29 hours of work and just kind of relish the wonder that is big box PC game collecting. Now, this is a really weird and difficult video for me to make, and it's all in my head why. I really like collecting these things, but I've never made a video reviewing a PC game or any game, and I don't really plan to. That's not why I collect this stuff. So this is just my personal collection, and it's weird for me to talk about it like that because this is like just a background part of my hobby. Vintage computer stuff really is something that I personally enjoy, but I don't necessarily talk about every single aspect of it. So older computer games aren't something that I'd normally cover unless there's some particular hardware reason that makes it really interesting that is difficult to express otherwise. So don't consider this me like, hey, here's all the games I'm going to cover at some point. It's not going to happen. But this is something that I'm really passionate about. And I mean, it obviously would have to be to have what I can tell you amounts to over 800 games, which is crazy to say. So I wanted to like kind of solidify the collection, and I figured cataloging it would be a good way of doing it. Now, I actually had a reason to catalog them, or maybe a happenstance that made it even easier to catalog than it normally would be. And that's back like a year ago now when I moved into the office. I had originally had all of my PC games on a shelf that I'd mounted to the wall, and that was where they were. But when I moved into here, I did not have anywhere that I could put that up because I didn't want to start drilling holes in the walls at the office where we then have to repair them, and that gets into a whole complicated thing. So I packed up my games into boxes and put them in that hallway that I showed you and left them there until I could get bookshelves to put them on. The problem is I really wanted bookshelves that were like these, period correct ones. And I've even had people asking like, oh, where do you get those bookshelves? The answer is the past. And unfortunately, I still haven't been able to find more of these. That's why I gave up. And I've been looking at IKEA for Billy bookcases, which is something that people very frequently recommend for PC games. They hold them well with the sizes. The IKEA near me never has had any in for like the last year that were in an acceptable color. White and black are no-goes for me. I want it to actually look at least a little bit like wood. So I eventually found some on Amazon for a really good price, and I bought 5 of them, thinking that that's gotta be plenty. I'll never need, well, not never, but I won't need more for a really long time. And it turned out that was almost just adequate. Now, there's a lot I could talk about with the collection, but I really want to focus on the cataloging first. And there's a whole lot that goes into it because it took me 29 hours over the last 6 days to do nothing but put the boxes on the shelf after having cataloged them. And I cannot speak slowly enough to give you the time to appreciate how long that really took with this sped up footage. That was 29 hours of footage that you just watched. That's, oh man. Now, the beginning of that I actually did live on stream, and I thought that maybe I'd do that the whole way through, but I realized just how slow I was going with that, and I had to do it myself off camera and just listen to music as I went along and just hope I didn't get too bored. I can tell you, doing that for 6 to 7 hours a day, it gets very boring, but I was able to get it done. And I really want to walk you through how I got it done, because I came up with a method that is easily repeatable by anyone. Now, unfortunately, it didn't occur to me until today to see if Moby Games, which is the best PC game database website out there, has a collection tracking feature, and it turns out they do, but you do it by entering in game titles, which I think would actually end up being probably just about as much work as what I did, and now I could still go back and populate that whenever I want without having access to the games. But that's just the way that it works. I think it would have been difficult to do en masse like this and the way that I wanted to, because there are a couple of things that I did that I think are going to be really useful for me in the long run with how I cataloged it. And one of those things was I actually made a page on my wiki that is a personal wiki for the channel that you can go see in the description below, and has photographs of every box. And that's something that most websites like this don't want to deal with, because that's a lot of hosting to have to do. So I have photographs of every unique box and not boxes in my collection, and that made it a lot more difficult to do. And I want to talk about how I did that and how I input the data, because there's a really easy process that anyone can use for anything that just works pretty simply, and you can even do it from your phone. I actually started off trying to do this collection before with nothing but my phone, but I hate touchscreen typing so much I decided I'd just do it on a computer on a cart. That way I don't have to deal with that. So when it comes to cataloging the collection, there are a few things that are really handy the way that I was doing that. One is this music stand. And with the music stand goes this piece of white foam board. I actually made this for my light box, and I take the music stand, turn it backwards, and just ever so slightly tip it back, and I'll get into that. And then I put it up against a wall or something and let this open up like that. I then have this sheet of paper that has a piece of cardboard taped to it that we'll get into as well. That is to serve as a backdrop for my camera. This camera actually connects to my laptop over USB and allows me to take pictures directly. Then I'm uploading the pictures to a Google Sheet document. The best thing about Google Sheets is that you can create Google Forms to automate uploading stuff. Now, to fully demonstrate this, we're going to add one more title to the catalog, because Alec from Wichita, Kansas sent me this big box software 3 months ago. I haven't had enough mail to do a mail video since then. So we're actually just going to do this right now. And I'm not 100% sure what's in here. I want to say a Linux copy, but we're going to add this to the collection catalog in real time so you can see how it's done in the entirety. First, let's get this open and see what we will be cataloging here. All right, oh, we have a note. As mentioned, just a little addition to yourself. Thanks for the awesome content, Alec. Oh, thank you, Alec. Let's see what we will be adding to the shelf here. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, Mandrake Linux. That's really cool. I didn't have such an obviously Mandrake Linux before, so that's going to be really cool. The other ones I have are just, it's like, here, I'll just go grab it. I can actually do this now that everything's accessible. Yeah, this is the only other Mandrake Linux I've had, and it's just that little tiny bit right there that says Mandrake. So this being a proper Mandrake Linux is really cool. So yeah, we will definitely get that cataloged here. Now I'm going to walk you through all of the steps needed to add something like this to the catalog. And we're going to be able to do this with the sheet that I've already got going, but I'll show you some of the stuff on how you can set this up. So this is the Google Sheet, and you can see there are a lot of entries here. And when you're working with the Google Sheet, you can go up to the top and click Create New Form. So you can do this on any form. So let's say I go over to my list of game consoles. I can do Tools, Create Form, and make a form for this. So making forms for Google Sheets just basically allows you to automate data entry with a much more user-friendly UI and having better options for things. So over here, I have 3 windows open. One is for my camera because I can control the camera through the computer, which just makes things easier and avoids having the camera shake when you press the shutter button directly on it. And then I have the form that I've created for this in a folder here open that allows me to easily access the pictures that I've taken. So this is the form as I've designed it for filling in the data about these boxes. So when you're editing, you can very easily add a new section here by changing the question and then changing the type of input data you want for it. Ooh, checkbox grid, I never looked at that. That's fancy. But there's a lot of options here you can do. If you want specific choices to be locked out where you only have one option selected, you can pick a radial, you can pick checkboxes if you want multiple things. That was actually something that I figured out as I was going I did not want, and I've switched everything over to checkboxes basically. If I go back to the form here, the platform used to be radial checkboxes where I could only pick one, but then I realized there are titles that support more than one platform. Why not have them be checkboxes and have it input all the data for me rather than checking the ambiguous multi? Made way more sense. But let's go ahead and actually put this in. So that piece of paper with the cardboard taped to it, let me go over this. This is tipped back specifically so that I can bounce light from this light off of the ceiling and down at an angle so it hits the front of the box from the top. This prevents a lot of reflections from having the lights pointed directly at it and parallel with the camera. So I have these at 90-degree angles, which makes it way easier to eliminate reflections. This is in there because I typically pull this slightly farther out, so this is not a 90-degree angle, which will make the bottom deflect light away from the box so you don't end up with a bright, shiny bottom. This just goes under so that the box can tip back as it's sitting in there. So that should now be properly lit, and we can go ahead and line up the camera. So I've got that focused and framed up. All right, I'm gonna plug it back in so the computer can control it now. Back over here, I'm just gonna quickly adjust some things, and then I can click the picture taken button, and there is our copy of Linux as an image. So from here, what I'm gonna do is Mandrake, and then I'm gonna throw at the end of the title version 8.1, which I think would be helpful. Next, I want the UPC, which is right there, and I could just type this in. I don't have a numpad, or that would be easy, but what I do have is a barcode reader. Beep. Done. Super easy. There are lots of different kinds of barcode readers. This one was actually made for me by one of my supporters, Kaiser. I'm really appreciative of it. And it's been very helpful here. I'm going to use that in the future as like a primary key to try and link to other searches. So maybe I can search UPCs on Moby games to try and find stuff. Stuff like this is another reason why I kind of had to make my own thing, because there's probably no websites that have lists of weird boxed Linux copies. So yeah, I guess I'm going to be the one who creates that, aren't I? Fun. Back to this year. Now, this is something that's a little odd. I just like to find 2002, in this case, a year that is printed on the box, so I have a rough idea what kind of hardware this is going to be compatible with. So I would expect that would work with, say, a Pentium 3 pretty well. It might even have drivers for, say, a Voodoo graphics card, which was very common to use on Linux. Let's see. Voodoo 3, 5, and Banshee. I was indeed correct. And that's actually something that I would have liked to have come up with a solution for. I would have loved to have got the system requirements for all of the boxes in my cataloging, but I didn't really have a good solution to that. These things are printed so small on there that I would have to get really close up with macro shots to get those, and that would require doing too much work with the camera or having 2 cameras and then hand holding and taking like a bunch of pictures until I get one that's not blurry. So it really wasn't practical. So I decided later I might go back and do that, but for right now, unfortunately, I'm just going to use the year instead of an actual system requirement. Now, platform, technically this is IBM PCs, what it runs on, but I'm going to mark it as Linux because I just use PC as a catch-all for Windows and DOS because there's a lot of games that are on both systems. So yeah, that's fine. Media format, 3 CD-ROMs, as it says right on the front of the box. I don't really have any significant notes about the box. For example, one of the things I might note, this copy of Star Wars Dark Forces comes with a strategy guide affixed to it, so that's something that I would talk about there. And then box condition. I've put in some general cases of criteria to talk about different conditions, and these are mostly subjective and highly variable based on how I feel about the box at the time I'm looking at it. So in this case, I am seeing some corner tears. There is some light crushing, yeah, on that side. It's slightly yellowed, but that's just, there's so many boxes that are even extremely yellow. Look at this copy of Norton Advanced Utilities. Oh, it's so yellow. I'm gonna bump this up to, I'm gonna give it a 3. It's got a little bit of tearing, but it's not too bad. And it's not really artwork critical on this one. So I'm gonna give it a 3. Then I can go to box picture and really easily, I can just drag my photo up to here. That is the folder where the camera software just dumps everything into there. Talking about the camera software really quick, this is a Nikon D5300. I'm using Linux, so this isn't applicable to everyone, but that software is Entangle. It only works with Nikon cameras. If you're using Canon stuff, I have no idea what it would be. If you're using Windows, I have no idea what it would be. That's just the setup I'm using. Condition notes. Now, if there were discs missing or something, I might talk about that. Let's just go ahead and affirm that everything is in there. Ooh, very nice job internally padding this. That helps way more than you might think. There's all 3 discs, so we're good. And I'd say we can submit that one. Boom. And now that that's in there, we can go back to the form and we can see Mandrake Linux Standard Edition version 8.1. And you can also see there how many titles I'm up to. 602, not including the header for the sheet, big box titles. Now, I will say I've included non-PC titles in there for one reason. These are copies of Dungeon Master 2 and Dungeon Master 2. One of these is for PC and the other one is for Amiga. You have no idea which one it is because my hands are covering the labels. That's the only difference. So really, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to try and artificially limit based on system when they can basically be the same. Now, I take that concept and I run with it to the extreme, which means that everything from IBM PC to Coleco Atom all goes into the same sheet. So read into that what you will. And like I think I mentioned earlier, that does not include small box games, which I have a not insignificant quantity of. And I will be putting these all in the exact same sheet as well. And I'm thinking about putting things like this in there. This may seem like it shouldn't probably go in there. It's like a loose game thing, but this is actually a fully packaged, there's the UPC, copy of a shareware title. This should go in there despite being insubstantial. So that is how I'm working through this stuff. If you disagree with how open that cataloging method is, I don't really blame you because it is going to allow things like this into there, which don't work at all, despite being a physical boxed copy of a game. Yeah, that's totally useless. Look at that thing. Wow. Now, I've actually put off cataloging the small box games for now because I really was focused on getting the big box stuff unpacked. So these are not currently in danger or packed. They're kind of just like strewn about on the different surfaces. But I do want to get those done. I'm just thinking, rather than waste valuable big box shelf space, I'm going to try and find some media shelves for these, which I think should be a lot easier. So I'm going to look into that. And yeah, I definitely don't want to waste the big box space because looking through my entire collection has been, let's say, a bad inspiration on my purchasing habits. And there are currently 5 more big boxes in the mail after seeing everything and thinking, oh, you know, it'd be cool if I had this to go with that. So yeah. Anyway, from here, I kind of want to just wander around the collection and take a look at some things. So let's go back to the phone camera and see what we can see. First, let's go ahead and actually formally introduce this to the shelf. There we go. That won't stay there though, and that goes into a larger thing here. I'm serious when my main goal here was just to get stuff unpacked. That means nothing is sorted. All of this has changed recently, so you'll see small sections of things that seem like they're sorted like that, but that is the exception, not the rule. So don't think that this is the final configuration of how everything's going to be. This is just good enough for now, and then later I will get everything properly sorted. But I think it might be fun to just kind of go through every single shelf here and point out some really interesting things. And oh man, I can already tell this is going to be like a whole long video just from this. Sealed copy of Bleem. That's pretty sweet. This was something that once I found out that existed, I had to have that. Bill Nye, the science guy, stop the rock. This one is sealed. And you'll find that there are a number of games that are sealed, and I'm actually thinking about doing a video about these again, where I unseal a bunch of these, because you end up with this happening. This is shrink damage, where the shrink wrap is contracting over time and crushing the boxes. Here's 2 copies of Strafe, because I bought this like an hour before they cut the price down by half to clear these out. And they were like, well, we can't refund you, so we'll just send you 2. So I have one that's open and one that's sealed. And it doesn't matter, because neither one of those actually contains the game. This one was interesting for taking pictures. All foil for the box, and I actually managed to get a really good picture of that one, I feel, so I'm happy with that. Ion Fury Founders Edition, I actually noted the number of the release on the catalog page. Let's see, down here, that, I don't understand this. So one of the things that seeing everything here has reminded me of is I'm probably going to start doing more collecting, especially Command & Conquer here. This was one of the games that I had on display at LTX, and I had multiple people try and buy it off of me there. I don't understand why. It's just a Red Alert 2 weird version. Nothing that special about it, but maybe, I don't know. One thing you should really know about me is I'm not here for value or things like that. Like I said, I don't know, I've done so many takes on this video. Once things enter my collection, they never leave. So I don't really care how much they're worth, because they're just here to stay. Here's a little mini set that I was really pleased to be able to get. Arcade, Return of Arcade, and Revenge of Arcade. These are 3 packs of Microsoft games that contain ports of arcade games. So this has Pac-Man, Pole Position, Galaxian, and Dig Dug. Really sweet. I have several arcade collections like this. This is Gex here. This is a game that I've not played too much. I think I've mostly played this on the Game Boy, which is a very similar game, but not quite the same one. I have Gex 3D in the mail, maybe. That was a very difficult one to get. I really, really need to get some more Magic School Bus. Continuing on here, does anyone have a non-upgrade copy of Windows 95? Because, I don't know that I've seen one. On that, this made me finally buy something. People talk about Windows 2000 like way too much. This was not a home operating system, and the box of this specifically mentions Business for Windows 2000. Home is Windows ME. I've become so annoyed with people having nostalgia for Windows 2000 incorrectly. I actually finally bought a copy of Windows ME. I was gonna not, just because I had a miserable time with it. But I may want to make a point at some point, so I actually bought a copy of ME to go with 2000 there, so I can talk about that. I probably need to take something out of this shelf and replace with something else, because this is a little tight in there. This sealed copy of 2000, more shrink damage and really beat up. Down here is something I'm really happy to be collecting. Software creation products. This is actually something I think I'm going to have to archive. That is Visual Basic 1.0 with Professional Toolkit. The only other instance of that I can find a record of online is in the Library of Congress. So that one might need to be actually properly backed up to archive.org. This was something that took forever to get, and that was incredibly disappointing. This game runs awful. I think it's maybe programmed using the GDI interface or something. It's just really poorly designed. Wow. Oh man. But yeah, there's a bunch in here. I tried to space these out, the shelves. So this is just like DOS game size right here. So these are much shorter. The boxes from up here, which are mostly standard sized, will not fit on there because DOS games are slightly smaller, which is part of why I don't really distinguish so much between big box and small box. It's like Retro 86 here. Is that a big box or a small box? It's not a CD media size box, so it must be big box, despite actually being smaller than those. So yeah, there's some interesting stuff in here. This actually reminds me, right here is a copy of Thexter that I know who sent it, Jim Leonard. I'm really appreciative of that. And actually, Revolt, which is somewhere around here. One field I'm going to add to the sheet is a list of who sent things, who they were donated by. I'm going to go with just first names, though, because I really don't like to dox people with a first name and a last name and a location. You might actually be able to find someone. So I don't want to do that, but I haven't put them on there yet because I'm going to go through and rewatch all of the mail videos and find them that way. So I will do that later. But yeah, some cool stuff down here. Art Explosion 800,000, to the best of my knowledge, that is the largest clip art pack in existence, and I'm now realizing I have Art Explosion 600,000 somewhere as well, so I didn't find that here. I'm gonna have to get that added whenever that shows up. That's a thing. Oh, this is weird. Okay, so here's a big box copy of Tropico. Okay, and I just remember this is up here. Here's a big box copy of Tropico 2. That, I think, might actually be one of the rarest big boxes I have. This is from 2003, wherever, yeah, right there. I can't find any pictures of that on the internet. So yeah, if someone has one of those or has ever seen one, I'm just curious to know more, because, like, that's weird. It's probably one of those things where it's like, oh, that was the limited Sam's Club version where they just made it bigger for some reason. Like, I have the Doom 3 in here somewhere that's like that. So, yeah, it might just be that. Leftover from the XP video that I didn't get to. On those videos, I usually massively overbuy stuff because I don't know what all I'm going to talk about. Here's the Revolt that Jim Leonard sent me. It's fantastic. I love that game. But yeah, I get too much stuff, and then I never know what I'm going to talk about. I kind of want to talk about Croc here. I really like this artwork. This is my favorite style of big box artwork. I could talk about big box artwork all day long. It is one of my favorite things about these, and why I am not discriminate about what platform things are for. Like, I have a copy of Cool Spot on the other shelves that is for Amiga, even though I want the PC version because that was what I could get, and I just really like the game, so I kind of wanted that. Here are some hopes and dreams of maybe one day doing a video on video editing on Windows 98, a complete Adobe video editing set in tier 1 condition. Those are awful. Oh, they're so bad. I am having to switch to 1080p on my phone because I filled up the internal storage and it can't record 4K to the SD card. So we're going to continue here like this. We have a copy of Unreal Tournament 2004 big box, another late big box. I think I found a 2005, but I don't remember what it would be when I was doing this stuff. Yeah, there were, actually that is 99 if I remember. Yeah, there were some later ones than I expected in here, like that Tropico 2. This is going to be part of a video on security dongles. This has a USB security dongle in it. Really dumb and annoying. I have some very cool stuff to go with that, though. Over here is another thing that could have been used in one of the 20th anniversary videos. DVD X copy. This would have gone with, it's actually just right there, the Media Center PC. Because I mentioned you can't copy DVDs to the hard drive. With that, you can. Down here we have this is something. We're gonna look at this here. This is why I collect PC games here. So first off, Pod, phenomenal game, absolutely highly recommended. You know what, let's use my hip to open this. But this is a version that I imported from Australia because of this. This is a PC game with a hardcover manual, and this is more background story on Pod, which is just incredible. Look at this thing. Oh my gosh. Dude. How many racing games have lore? Look at this. Oh my gosh. This is incredible. So, yeah, you cannot beat PC game stuff. I'm just saying. Man, I am gonna have to pick up the pace here. There's so much I want to talk about. There's a copy of Pandemonium. I played that game so much when I was young. Never have seen a box in the US, so that is actually imported from Germany with the help of Tomatolicious. Really appreciative of it. This game represents something to me that I don't care about it, actually, but I do care about this. This is Marble Blast, which is an E-Games title there. And that means to me that there may be a big box copy of Marble Blast out there, which would be amazing. So yeah, see that horrible, awful, what even is this game? Is it just a generic platformer? Like a Sonic clone? I don't even know. So yeah, that's, I want that big box. Oh man. Let's keep on moving here. There's some cool stuff there. Right here, though, is something interesting, and doing the cataloging actually taught me something. That version of Maya will actually run on Linux, and it'll run on Red Hat, and it'll run on Red Hat Workstation, which that is, but this actually doesn't say which version it is, or was it, actually, it's the one right there. It's one revision short of being compatible with that. So that one was Red Hat Workstation version 3 up there. I'm going to need to get version 4 to make that work. So, yeah. So many Office packages that are just like, don't exist. It's kind of weird. Word and, cloud sheets. I'm guilty of that with the cataloging with Google here. Really killed that stuff off. Here's something weird. It's a copy of Sprint Car Racing, and I have a couple of boxes like this. They actually open with a perforated edge, like a cereal box. So once you open that thing, it's destroyed forever. Kind of really dumb. Another example of shrink damage Afterlife here, which is just a weird, complicated box. It's getting trashed by being sealed. I really do need to make an unsealing video. That is a collection that's growing. I don't know if I want to talk about that more right now. That's going to get attention. This is something I've been meaning to make a video about for literally years. Roland Visual Music Tutor. I think this is an official Roland Sound Canvas emulator. Before the VST. Yeah, I really need to unseal that and try it out sometime. I have more Half-Life stuff than I realized. That was kind of fun to see through all this. Locus. That's going to be, that one's actually, it's sealed. I bought this on a lark at a thrift store because I didn't own it. I don't remember where it says it here. This thing supports, plays great with head-mounted display or monitor. Yeah, I'm actually working on trying to do a video about HMDs and 3D stuff, and that's one of the games that's more supported by those things. So that was actually a really handy pickup there. This feels so weird dealing with like 5150 era stuff. Laplink for Windows XP. Ugh. This is something I picked up. I was thinking I was going to do a video on, but then I realized like, oh man, that's just, it's very specific to gaming. Sealed sound source there. Really need to try that. At least I don't have to worry about it going bad in the box because it's just, well, a plastic box full of resistors and a speaker. There might be some capacitors in there, but not many. All right, here's one. Box copy of Tux Racer. This does not have a UPC, and I'm not quite sure why. I actually bought this through Amazon when it was new. So that's a little weird. This is disappointing. Star Trek The Next Generation Screensaver by Berkeley Systems. After Dark compatible. You know what it doesn't have? A flying replicator. Oh, man, it needs a flying replicator screensaver. Here is a game that I bought exclusively because of the box art. Just, wow. I'm not the biggest fan of like horror stuff, but that is really, really good. Gotta say, love PC games for the artwork. All right, it's time to move on to the other shelves now. Oh, there's so much more to talk about. And especially up there, you can see some of my HMD stuff going on, but I feel like I should talk about this first. Quake, Linux, Quake 2, Linux, Quake 3, Linux. That is the full set of Quake for Linux right there. Unfortunately, Quake 4 did not get a boxed copy. They released the files for porting it to Linux, if I remember correctly, so you can actually download those, but yeah, no official release there. Yeah, now on to stuff, and I have something to admit. This is one of the most recent acquisitions for me. I've never had a boxed copy of Duke Nukem 3D, and I paid way too much for something I think I rated a 2 or a 1. Oh man, that thing has really shot up in value, and I just realized I gotta get it, because I have all 3 expansions, and Nuke It, and that. I thought I had the Atomic Edition add-on, but apparently not, so I'm gonna have to get that too. I do have Atomic Edition through a box of East vs. West, so at least there's that, but yeah. Here was something fun discovered while I was doing this. Hexen here has an invalid UPC. It's missing what I was told are the guard bars in the middle of the code. That's not scannable. At least not by the scanner I'm using, which adheres to the standards. Here's something else. Yeah. This is one of those things where it's like, you see it, you don't know what it is, but you know you need to get it. This is bagged software, not box software. This is how this shipped. That is a single piece of cardboard in there that's wrapped around the contents. No idea what the quality of the game is like, but I knew to get it. Don Bluth, Braindead 13 there. That's not the only weird Don Bluth title I have. Where is the other one? We're going to jump ahead here a bit. Yeah, Reaches. This one is even weirder and has a lenticular cover. How about that? Yeah, that's a weirder one right there for sure. These are all for different platforms. So we got Amigas, and that's the Amiga cool spot I was talking about. Look how nice it is. Fun fact, being the European Amiga release means that, actually I don't think it's got a big box copy in America. That is not associated with 7-Up. At least it's not branding wise. When you play the game, he just pops off of a generic bottle. Kind of fun little trivia there. Here are all of the Star Wars, and then 2 more not PC platform titles that I couldn't fit. I guess I know why that was over there now. So yeah, that's all Star Wars, and then I have way more Star Trek. It's bleeding out over there, down to there, and then I just left some on the other shelves because I couldn't fit them all. Oh, there's so much Star Trek software, and so much of it is utter garbage. Oh man. And yeah, there's some debris from the bookshelves going up that I haven't been able to get to because I've just been focused so much on getting all this done. This is something, you may have seen a couple of boxes like this that I'm experimenting with. These are Life magazine bags. I'll grab another one up here that has a bigger reason to be in that. I'm wondering about potentially putting all of my boxes in these. The reason I put this one in here is this is like a nearly perfect copy of Rebel Assault 2, except that the gold is starting to wear off of the lettering there. So putting it in here means when it slides in and out of the shelf, it won't rub off, because eventually it'll start to look like this one that's in worse shape here. You can see how it's really gone on that S. So I'm trying to prevent that, and just in general wear from sliding off the shelves, because I like using these. So yeah, I'm just looking at stuff like that. One of my favorite things is collecting games that make you wonder, wait, that was on PC? Glover. Almost exclusively known for being on the Nintendo 64, did in fact have a PC port. I think it got remastered and put on Steam recently as well. And that's why I also have a bunch of Sonic stuff, but Sega PC was much more well known. Trick Style's in a similar vein there. We'll get back to that. Here are 2 kind of similar Jaguar title, Tempest 2000 there. This is the DOS version. This is the Windows version, and another good reason why taking pictures and having information is handy, because if I just put Tempest 2000 in there, which one is it? Because these are different games, basically. Sigil. Yes. And then I gotta talk about this one too. Another thing, another Jaguar release. It was Attack of the Mutant Penguins on Jaguar, or Mutant Penguins Attacks, I can't remember. There it is, just Mutant Penguins sealed. That had to be imported because it didn't have a US release. I import so many games from Europe. It's ridiculous. Gex 3D is coming from there. Really, really wish all the games I wanted came from the US. Very phenomenally nice copy of Warcraft 3 that LGR sent me. I'm appreciative of that. It's so good. This lighting does not do it justice here. It looks really good. Love that type of artwork. Continuing on, here's QMM as a box copy. Again, not just games are fun. Whole bunch of boring productivity software, but this is interesting. This is a PCB editing package. I actually uploaded to archive.org. I fully archived everything in that, so you can take a look at it. But that is PC editing on a 5150 computer compatible. Yeah, IBM PC 8086. You can do PCB editing. Look how much NASCAR stuff there is. Jeez, and there's NASCAR 2004 over there, the small boxes. Yeah, a lot of NASCAR stuff. Not 2005, unfortunately. Here is a long story that ends with, is it over here? It ends in this. Vroom. I really, really wanted a copy of this because mostly Gremlin Interactive's racing games. This is a 2D, sprite-y kind of racing game. I got hooked on Top Gear 1 and 2 on PlayStation, not PlayStation, Super Nintendo, and I've been trying to chase that high on PC forever. That I had to import. I didn't even get to the part of the story that matters here. This I had to import from France, and this was in good condition when I bought it. It did not arrive that way in a package full of French titles. They got rained on and crushed in shipping, destroyed them all, and I was just really frustrated to see having the room there because I've only ever seen one other copy of it, and it's still on eBay for $1,000. No, that's not even close to how much I paid for it. No, but yeah, this is a French copy of Phantasmagoria here that just also got trashed in the rain. Here's Trick Style. I've talked about this one in my last video on PC game collecting, which I think was 5 years ago now, nearly 6. This is, I believe, fake sealed, as evidenced by the shelfware under the shrink wrap there. Yeah, also cool, Ross Scott on Curse Farms just did a video about this game. Was really excited to see that. He had all my favorite points about that thing, including the music, which also just came out on vinyl. It's fantastic. Yeah, this is a game that I saw and I knew I have to have it, and I've never tried it. Toonstruck with Christopher Lloyd in it. Really need to try this sometime. Just, yeah, it looks like something there. Pending video stuff. Let's keep on trucking. Oh yeah, here actually. I have uploaded these to archive.org. LabVIEW Student Edition allows you to control GPIB equipment. Maxis. Actually bleeds over pretty far. Some great stuff here. Slightly OG copy of SimCity. It's not the Godzilla one, but it's really, really cool. It's in great shape too. Click and Play. That's a more recent edition as well. I just woke up one day and realized, you know, I could just go get Click and Play. I played this so much, and play is a really nebulous word there, but yeah, that one really happy to get a copy of. Do you want to make some Flash stuff? We got everything Macromedia to make a whole website right there. That would be definitely got to try that at some point. Get some Windows XP era websites going. Beetlebugging. Ooh, that's a good game right there. That one was not easy to find. I'm doing a really good job of like flipping these the wrong direction first time every time. Again, with my collection of stuff like, wait, that's on PC, Wipeout, and Wipeout XL, also known as 2097, most known for being PlayStation games, but they're developed by Psygnosis. So yeah, it just made sense. They could release those on PC. This, Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver 2, I still need to get Stunt Track Driver 1, but I'm holding out for one that has the car and for a not insane price. More water damaged French games. Lots of interesting stuff. This one, shout out to Metal Jesus Rocks. He did a video where he toured Phoenix Zia's, and he saw this in one of them. Was like, oh, but I don't need it. And I'm like, what? I'm in Phoenix. So I called them the instant I watched that on video, and they still had it there, and I got them to hold it for me. So yeah, I actually bought that local after seeing it in Metal Jesus Rocks' video, which was Hilarious. Of all the ways I would ever find a copy of Wolfenstein 3D in box, I would not have guessed that. It's a later re-release version, so the artwork's not color and stuff, but I don't care. At least I can say I have a box copy of Wolf 3D now. It's just nice to have stuff like that. It ticks a little box in my heart. Here is Need for Speed 1, 2, 3, High Stakes, and Porsche Unleashed. Really felt good to complete that. Porsche Unleashed was the last one. That one is not the most common big box to get. There are some other ones like Underground and stuff, but to me, that's the core before Need for Speed really started to go off in another direction. I tried to revisit Carbon for the Windows XP video, which I really liked when it came out, and time has not done favors to it for me. Speaking of racing games, Wacky Races, I believe this is the last one that I had delivered. This one took so long to find a copy of. I played this game a lot when I was younger. It's a really good game in the right circumstances, you know. Yeah, I wanted a box copy of that. Really not that common. I think just people don't care about it, so they wouldn't even think to list it. They would just chuck it. Some additional copies of Windows XP. I don't even know how many copies I've got of that. That's actually XP Plus right there, though. Copy of Red Baron 2 that, up until recently, I thought it was actually sealed and still had the Red Baron pizza coupon in it. Turns out it does not, so that has been redeemed. There are those two Dungeon Masters again, and for the record, the smaller one is the Amiga game. So there you go. Mystery revealed. Here's another one of those games where the artwork just explodes when you look at it right. Like, oh man, that is just phenomenal in person. Here are 3 games in a row, actually, that were really interesting to get. I played Draken on the PlayStation 2, and I always knew it was a sequel, but I never played the first one, so I had to track down the first one for PC, which I waited too long to get. And then I paid more than I would have liked, but I finally got a copy of it. So I need to play through that at some point. Another Psygnosis title there. This, another Terror open box, boo, is, as far as I'm aware, the first release of Sonic 2 on PC. And what's fun is how this is so close to the Genesis 2000 there. So just a couple of years after the Genesis, Sega was still making consoles at that time, and then they just released that stuff for PC. Kind of hilarious. And then this, Zoo Tycoon, absolutely fantastic game. Had to get a big box copy of it. And then immediately after I bought this one, I found out Zoo Tycoon Complete Collection is also available as a big box, and I'm torn on whether or not I want to try and get that. This is kind of good enough, and you don't have to look at the Orca and the T-Rex kind of ruining the shot there. Some other two here, MDK, a non-US box, because it took me so long to find one that I ended up settling for non-US, but I kind of like how simple it is. And then MDK2, which just looks like a complete tonal shift. I don't know that I've ever played that one. I have played MDK1 on the Dreamcast. Really need to give both a shot. This is one I really need to try at some point. Disney Presents Animation Studio. It is so many floppy disks in there. It's kind of crazy. Really not sure what you can do with it, but I think it supports Disney Sound Source, so that's a thing. Just fix 7 guess there. All right, getting real close to the end. Actually, we'll just do this shelf first. We have some ST software there. All of that was sent to me. I'm really appreciative of that. Do need to get the ST working. I tried repairing my monitor, and it didn't spring back to life, so it has deeper demons, unfortunately. And then over here, we have some Coleco Atom software. I also need to finish getting that computer working. Man, I got a lot of projects that need finished. But then we have some really, really cool stuff here. Of course, big box Doom 3. Definitely a prominent thing in the collection. But I like other weird stuff too, like this copy of Robot Arena. I also played that a lot. That one was really cool for me to get a big box copy of. Some other stuff. Actually, you know what? I played Virtual Pool a lot on the Nintendo 64, so I see that as a Nintendo 64 game. It's probably just multi-platform and more prominent on everything. I mean, this is published by Interplay. Come on, they definitely had their way of getting software around. But yeah. Earthworm Jim 3D is a weird one. It doesn't actually install. It runs from the CD. But there we go. That's a bunch of stuff. Oh, there's a couple of interesting things up here, but we'll just blend it with this one. It's an indie box copy of the Stanley Parable, and one of the cool things about me having this here is that I can demonstrate one of the things that really makes it interesting. Yeah, it's trying to look like a Microsoft Office product, which is just fantastic, and they really take it home here. It is great. I really appreciate that box design. I definitely had to have that for the design, but also because the game is fantastic. And yeah, I should probably open it someday. Just too many things going on. Well, all right. I think that's everything we can talk about at this point. At least I think. I don't know. Like I said, long meandering thing here. I'm just happy to be where I'm at right now. All of the games are on the shelves, and I actually have them cataloged. I know what I have, which is awesome. Because there are some things that I thought I had that it turns out that I didn't. Like the Duke Nukem Atomic expansion. I thought I had that, actually. So apparently I need to get that. But yeah, really great position to be in. If for some reason you didn't get your fill out of looking at them as we went through everything, I will have the wiki page linked in the description below. Do note that that's not an open invitation to make offers on things. I'm not looking to sell anything. The conditions on there are totally subjective and just for me to decide like whether or not, oh, do I want to replace that if I have the opportunity to get something else? So it's really not, anything like, oh, if it's really nice, pay me a lot of money. It's not what it is for. So, yeah, not looking to sell anything, and I'm not looking to buy anything either out of the blue. It's really hard to figure out a price and who pays for shipping and how much to pay for shipping and packing and liabilities of damage and stuff. It's just, it's not that. So, yeah, just this is going to happen as it happens. But yeah, oh man, there's so much I could continue to talk about. I really like these things. It is the weirdest infatuation. I don't collect anything else as seriously as I think I collect big box software. But that's it for now. Well, if you enjoyed this one, you may want to subscribe to the channel because I will have one other video upcoming about this. I will say there is a thread of consistency that runs through some of the games, and I touched on a handful of them in this, and then I have an upcoming build for it as well, but I'm gonna keep it tight from there. If you want to help support the channel and me definitely making wise financial cardboard decisions, you can find me on Patreon, but for now, that's it, and I will see you next time.